Good evening. My name is Pierluigi Oliverio, and I'm the chair. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. The parking validation machine is located at the top of the stairs. Insert ticket when the light is green. Following roll call, we will review how the public may provide comment. At this time, we will salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the Republic of the United States of America. Please join one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now it's time for roll call, and I'm advised by our city attorney that one of our commissioners is using his, what's the terminology, just cause absence because of illness. And at this time, does he need to speak?
Is he on? Do we know?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So at this time, Commissioner Lardenois, why don't you state the rationale as to why you're participating via teleconference?
Yeah, so I have cold symptoms right now, so I'm using the just cause exemption for contagious illness to participate remotely.
Okay, and then we'll just have the chair do a voice vote
To accept that? Yeah, absolutely. Please don't come when you're ill. So do we have a voice vote accepting Commissioner Lardenois' rationale? Yes, we do. And for the official roll call, we have Commissioner Lardenois,
Yes.
Commissioner Barosio,
Here.
Commissioner Cantrell,
Here.
Commissioner Casey,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia,
Here.
Commissioner Ornelas-Wise,
Here.
Commissioner Rosario,
Here.
Commissioner Young,
Here.
and Commissioner Tordillos.
Here.
Welcome. Oh,
And just one final thing about participating under the just cause exception. Commissioner Lardenois, before each vote we take, you need to publicly disclose if there is someone, if there's anyone 18 years or over who's present in the room when you're taking that vote. That's all.
Understood.
Thank you.
okay, great. So we'll move on to the summary of hearing procedures. If you want to address the commission, please fill out a speaker card located on the tables on the first floor and the top floor and deposit the completed card in the basket. The procedure for this hearing is as follows. After staff's presentation, applicants and/or appellants have 5 minutes. During public comment, the chair will call out names on the submitted speaker cards. As your name is called, please line up on the stairs. For those who attend by web meeting, the meeting technician will connect those persons who desire to speak to the commission so they may be heard. Generally, each speaker will be given up to 2 minutes, and the speakers using a translator will have double the time. At the discretion of the chair, the time allotted to each speaker may be changed depending on time management of the meeting. After the public testimony, the applicant and/or appellant may make closing remarks for up to an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. The public hearing will then be closed, and the Planning Commission will then discuss and vote. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The Planning Commission's actions on rezonings, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearings on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides the procedures for legal protests to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's actions on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. Agendas and all staff reports from this meeting may be accessed on the city website. So, call to order and orders of the day. Before we begin, I want to remind the Planning Commission and members of the public to follow our code of conduct displayed on the agenda. This includes commenting on the specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the commission or staff. All members of the Planning Commission, staff, and public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the Planning Commission will now come to order. And we now have public comment. Now is the time for public comment on items not on the agenda, but pertaining to municipal government. Non-agendized items cannot take any formal action without them being properly noticed and placed on an agenda, nor may the suggested item be in the purview of the Planning Commission. Staff, do we have any speakers for public comment? I don't see any cards here. Is there anyone in the online meeting wishing to speak under public comment?
We do have Paul Soto. Let me share my screen. Sorry, step back, please. Okay, Paul, go ahead and mute yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Um, Today was a meeting on COPA, and you can sense the fear is palpable, and a lot of the decisions that are being made with respect to housing issues, buildings, all this stuff comes through this committee. It's filtered through here. And so there needs to be some type of comprehension, acknowledgement, something in the way that you conduct your meetings that either is going to deny that racial equity is a component and a principle that is instituted within the context of public policy, or that it's not, or that it's something that is absolutely outside of the purview of the Planning Commission, and to deny that publicly. Just state it on the record that it is not a principle, because what's happening right now is genocide with manners. The generational impacts of the redlining policies have never been properly contextualized in the Planning Commission. And it was in the Planning Commission that all of that redlining map of 1939 was created. You have to know your history and the history of this commission and what it did to this city and the generational impacts, economic, social, and political, to the Chicano community. You see, we have our 10 districts now because of the Chicano community and what happened at Fiesta de las Rosas. This accounting of a proper accounting of the history is critically important when you're making land use decisions. And so I'm imploring you. That's the only reason why I'm here. I don't work for a nonprofit. I don't get anything from here, but I have a responsibility to insert this history into the context of city government. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We're now on to the consent calendar, where we have the minutes from the last meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Cantrell. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I assume no discussion. We shall vote. Commissioner Lardenois, and what's that special thing?
Yeah,
Is there
there's no
anyone
one present in the room with me, and I vote yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Barocio,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Ornelas Wise,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario,
Yes.
Commissioner Tordillos,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
myself, yes, and that passes. And now we are on to the item on the agenda for public hearing, PP 22003.
Presentation, okay. Oh, thank you and good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission and public. My name is Regina Nair. I'm the Deputy Director for our Watershed Protection Division and Environmental Services Department. So for today's presentation, our goal is for all of you to have a good understanding of the Municipal Regional Stormwater NPDES permit and an overview of the major changes specifically to two provisions that are in this permit called C3 and C12, and how revising Title 20 and key City Council policies are needed to achieve regulatory compliance. In the end of this presentation, I will conclude with our outreach efforts and recommendations. But before I begin, I wanted to provide some background. Like most Bay Area cities, San Jose has two separate sewer systems. The top row represents the sanitary sewer system, which is a series of connected pipes that discharge into our regional wastewater facility where contaminants are removed and the water is treated, then eventually discharges into our San Francisco Bay. For our storm sewer system, that's not the case. We have approximately 1,700 outfalls that directly discharge into our waterways, untreated. And so the main concentration of the work that we do is preventing pollution entering into both our sanitary and storm sewer systems. To ensure stormwater is treated before it goes into our waterways, under the Clean Water Act, there is a permit required, which is the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Systems Permit, NPDES for short. There are various MPDS permits administered here in California, which is very unique in comparison to the rest of the country. The US EPA authorizes the administration of this permit to the State Water Resource Control Board, which is divided into 9 regions, and this is all based on watersheds throughout the state. In our area, highlighted in the blue circle on the far left side of this slide, is the Region 2 San Francisco Bay Area Regional Water Quality Control Board, which entails a total of 76 permittees, including San Jose, and within our 5 counties, and that's Santa Clara, Alameda, San Mateo, Contra Costa, and Solano County. Okay. The EPA has a public-facing website to highlight the condition of our waterways, and you can go to mywaterway.epa.gov. As I mentioned before, the Regional Water Quality Control Board determines the health of the waterways in California, but it is ultimately approved by the EPA. And here's a quick snapshot of the 2 waterways within San Jose. So on the left side is the Guadalupe River, which shows the current health. And essentially, the sources of pollutants that are resulting in the waterways are mercury, pesticides, and trash. On the right of the slide shows Coyote Creek. And sources of pollutants are slightly different, which are resulted from pesticides, toxic chemicals, and trash. So for background on the permitting for stormwater sewer systems is actually relatively recent, since 1990, in comparison to industrial and wastewater treatment plants, which were heavily regulated decades before. This permit is typically a 5-year permit term, with the exception of the last one, which was extended for 2 years. The latest new permit has been reissued and is effective as of July 1st, 2022. There are changes in this new permit that will require the ordinance and policy changes in a phased approach. This presentation will just focus on the 2 provisions that I mentioned earlier, C3 and C12, that will become effective as of July 1st, 2023. And also, it is necessary for us to implement so that we can enforce it. So again, the stormwater permit covers the entire 180 square miles of the city. This slide shows how each department are responsible to help keep the city in compliance with the stormwater permit. This table shows all the various provisions that are within this permit, so you can see it's quite expansive. And again, the focus of this presentation are just going to are focused on C3 and C12 that are highlighted on this slide. So for C3, this is regarding new development and redevelopment projects. There are different types of projects where developers and roadway projects will be required to install green infrastructure. And for those of you who may not be familiar with what the concept of green infrastructure, it's essentially an engineered treatment system that cleans the water before it enters into our storm sewer system and eventually discharges into our waterways. For commercial, municipal, and multi-dwelling units, the past permit focused on 10,000 square feet, but the new permit requires any property 5,000 square feet or more, which includes a public right-of-way, such as sidewalks or driveways. A single-family home was originally exempted in the past permit, but now will focus on any property 10,000 square feet or more that will be disturbed. A small project, the thresholds have been lowered. It's to 2,500 to 5,000 square feet. And this basically will pertain to any of these projects disconnecting downspouts and rerouting stormwater runoff into landscaped areas. Roadway projects, particularly maintenance, were exempted in the past, but now the new permit will be focusing on any project that's 1 acre or more and any utility trenching that's 8 feet wide or greater. Also, this permit does require each city to implement some green infrastructure, and for the city of San Jose, we were required to build a minimum of 5 acres, which we will be meeting so with the construction of the River Oaks regional project that's going to start this fall. So what does this all mean for us citywide? Roughly, in this new permit, about 58% of more properties that are either commercial, municipal, or multifamily residential will be required to comply with this new stormwater permit. Single-family homes This is all brand new, so anything 10,000 square feet or above, which is roughly about 14,000 properties throughout the city of San Jose. And keep in mind, the reason for this increase is because our waterways are impaired and needs to be improved. So provision C12, this is associated with polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs for short. And the main intent of this provision is to focus on reducing PCBs entering into our waterways. For background, PCBs were domestically manufactured in the late 1920s and banned late in the 1970s. PCBs are toxic, and currently unhealthy quantities exist in our San Francisco Bay. As such, the Water Board has specified requirements as to how to address these issues, but for today's presentation, we'll just focus on one of 4 programs called the PCB Building Demolition Program. This was first introduced in the last permit, which required permittees to implement the program starting July 1st, 2019. Since then, the program will need to be expanded under the new permit. So what's new in the permit starting after July 1st, 2023 is highlighted in green. Essentially, contractors shall provide notification to the city and to the Water Board and the EPA at least 1 week before a demolition begins. The city must inspect the demolition site beginning in the 2023 rainy season, and the city will need to obtain official documentation of any materials that contain PCBs and ensure that it was properly disposed, and that's through a manifest waste, hazardous waste manifest documentation. And for definition of what an applicable structure pertains to is really a building that was built or constructed or remodeled between January 1st, 1950 to December 31st, 1980. So for the Planning Commission's reference, this slide summarizes the new permit requirements as I discussed in the previous slides, and which ordinances will need to be updated associated specifically to Title 20 to ensure that we meet the city's stormwater compliance requirements. In addition, the slide also summarizes the creation of a new policy, Policy 628, that is specifically focused on the PCB building demolition program, and updating the 2 existing policies, 629 and 814, and also just associated ordinances to enforce. In addition, San Jose Environmental Services Department has partnered with 2 other city departments. It's the Planning, Building, Code Enforcement Department and also the Office of Economic Development to provide PCB demolition information. Currently, the information on PCB demolition forms, guides, etc., is on the city's webpage. So for staff recommends to the Planning Commission to approve the ordinance changes as shown within Title 20, adopt a resolution for approving the new council policy 628 and amended existing policies of 629 and 814. And lastly, adopt a resolution to amend the administration citations schedule of fines. And thank you, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Robert, did you have a comment? I saw you. I thought you had one. Never mind. Are there any questions of staff from the commission? I don't think there's any public speakers. Is there anyone online to speak on this topic? I do see we have Commissioner Barroso that's curious. Commissioner?
Should I proceed?
Let me ask, was there someone on public comment on this?
Yeah, we do have someone on public comment.
Well, let's get their comment and then proceed to commission.
Okay.
If I may, to the chair, I'd like to defer my comments till after I've heard the commissioner speak. If that's okay with you, Commissioner Oliveri.
Oh, thank you, Paul. No, but this is actually the time to take public comment, so we'd be happy to hear what you might have and what other people might have to say, so feel free.
Well, I would like my comment to be a little bit more informed by what the commissioner has to say, and then again, I'll reiterate my request to speak after the commissioner has spoken.
Okay, guess that ends public comment. Commissioner Barroso, did you still? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. Anything that updates and brings us up to speed with our quality of waters is good news. So thank you for that. I do have a clarifying question. I saw it in slide 8 and in the first summary slide in terms of the 10,000 single-family homes. And my two-part question is, for clarification, is it 10,000 square feet per single-family home, or is it 10,000 per project, right? Because I could imagine 10,000 square feet home is
It's
a
10,000
mansion.
per project. It's a
Per
10,000
project.
per project.
Oh.
Yeah, so that could entail the sidewalk, the driveway, just any addition where we're taking away, just essentially any undeveloped land and redeveloping it or reconstructing it. So that's what that pertains to.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And would you be able to share with us what happens incrementally? Say, right now it's at 10,000. What would happen if we were to drop that to, say, 5,000 or 8,000 or 7,000? Why was 10,000 the magic number for that line?
I mean, I'm not clear as to what the water board decided starting at 10,000 square feet, but that is a question that we can ask our water board staff why they picked the 10,000 square foot. I don't have the background.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, just some clarity around that, I think,
Sorry, I can't go back for some
would
reason.
help us. No, it's
Okay.
okay. Okay, well, that ends my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Young.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just have a couple of questions. I was wondering if you could just give us an example of, say, a medium-sized commercial building, new building. What kind of things would they put in to meet this ordinance as far as green infrastructure?
So just any commercial building that is being redeveloped or being installed, what they would have to do is there's certain criterias that they will need to be ensure that they're complying to the permit, where they will have to put some kind of treatment either on land through just the engineered treatment that I was describing, or they can put, if they're eligible, any kind of mechanical devices. But again, there's certain criterias as to what is eligible and what is not. So it really just site specific a lot of times, and where it might be located. So the new permit is very specific as to the details of that. So hopefully that, I don't know if that narrows down your question, but it's just kind of like a broad answer.
Right, so just to follow up on that, what would a typical, say, engineered solution be for them?
So if you see, I don't know if you've ever seen in parking lots and some of the big lot type of facilities where the drainage of a parking lot goes into some kind of vegetated state, that's actually that is an engineered solution. It's not just landscaping, where it is physically treating the water before it discharges into our storm sewer system. So that's an example, like if you go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot, these types of sites have that. So hopefully that explains a little bit of what an engineered solution would be.
Great, thank you. Could you talk about the 5 acres of green infrastructure that the city's going to do at River Oaks, like what that might look like?
So I don't have the specific details of that one. So our partner department is Public Works, who will be leading that project. So it is taking an existing city-owned land, and essentially what I described as this engineered solution, larger scale, that will be treating about 200 acres of our drainage sheds, so which is a really significant project for the city.
So so rather than the water just going straight into the storm sewer, it would go through, say, permeable landscape or something like that.
But the permeable landscape actually has an engineered treatment down below, and it's treated before it actually discharges into our pump station and discharge into the waterways.
Okay, great. And the last question, it's a little bit outside of the realm, but since you're here, I was just wondering if the city has any plans in the future for large-scale wastewater capture, similar to what's being done in Southern California, to try and prevent some of the rain runoff from going in the ocean?
That, I do not think that's on our radar at this moment. Yeah, but thank you for that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Cantrell?
Hey, thank you for your presentation. I'm curious, what's driving this? Is this part of the new EPA changes?
This is being driven by the stormwater permit that's it's been in existence since 1990, and it's based on a lot of the study and the research that urban runoff is more of the number one causes of just contamination in our waterways. As sanitary and industrial, as you all know, it's been heavily regulated, and so not much has been discharging into the waterways, but it is through our urban footprint.
Oh, okay. I just read something recently about the EPA making changes in requirements in terms of stormwater runoff and capture, go ahead.
And here in California, the State Water Resource Control Board does operate on behalf of the EPA. So what the EPA does for the other 49 states might be slightly different from what they're doing here in California.
Okay, I'm curious because my understanding was it was a significant bill to make the changes that would be required.
Okay.
And this kind of felt like pushing it upstream to the consumer or to businesses and to the community rather than a municipality.
Okay.
So I was curious what's driving this change.
Yeah, no, this one is just based on a lot of the research over the years and over the decades that have been collected to ensure that we're treating our waterways and protecting it. So.
Okay. And do we know what the average cost is to make these changes, let's say on a 10,000 square foot lot?
Right now, that information is not available, but the one slide that I showed, sorry, the PowerPoint, is it up still? The one slide that showed all the different provisions, in this new permit, we will be requiring to obtain cost estimates of anything related to the stormwater permit, and so that's something we will be having in the future. It will only start as of fiscal year 25-26, but it is one of the things that this permit they are requiring every permittee to include.
And who gets to pay that cost? Who's the lucky winner?
It will depend whether it is something bestowed onto the developer or whoever is developing the land, or to city. It just depends what the situation might be.
Okay, and I assume no subsidies from the water department or anything to help?
I mean, we do obtain grants for whatever that is.
Okay.
Like for part of the green infrastructure project that was built on Measure T bonds and grants, things like that. So it just depends what the project might be.
Okay, it just seems a little, for such changes that might impact people financially, should maybe be a little more detail on what those costs might be and who carries those costs, and whether there would be grant subsidies or other subsidies available, so that we have a better picture of the actual impact of this?
That is something that we are being aware, we want to be aware of too, because some of these areas might be in areas where there are socioeconomic impacts and things like that. So, and especially given our current economic state, really want to better understand where the demographics is of these commercial industrial facilities. Absolutely.
Okay, so we're being asked to approve this today, these changes?
Because it is of Title 20 changes, and we have to ensure that this ordinance updates are implemented before the July 1st, 2023 deadline.
But without that information, we're being asked to make a decision today to support this or not?
Well, if it is a compliance requirement that every permittee is obligated to do, and then the research will happen after.
Cart, horse.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, so this is, the permitting agencies pushing down regulation to local government, essentially.
Essentially, that's it.
And then how do the permitting agencies account for encampments which may discharge any number of chemicals, anything else into the waterways?
That's another provision in there. So C10, which doesn't really pertain to land use, but that's being handled. And actually, there's a new provision, C17, that's particularly focused on our unhoused community and the impacts to our storm sewer systems.
Thanks. Commissioner Ornelas-Wise?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. It was great. I have some questions because I know that there is some fines associated with what would be approving a day. I don't know if, if someone is caught, if they are given a warning, and then what the fee structure looks like. Can you walk us through that?
So right now, based on our data that we have since the building, because this is really pertaining to more of the building demolition program, since its inception in 2019, we're estimating about 5 of these projects might qualify under this new permit requirement. And, quite honestly, we only seen 1, but this is just our rough estimation because it's based on land use right now is how the data is obtained. And then through the next couple of years, we're going to really, narrow that down to really ensure what sites are really PCB, that qualify under that provision. And so there will be our team will be involved in communicating with the permit, whoever is applicable under this permit, and definitely warn them ahead of time so that they don't lose sight. And we've been working very closely with planning, building, code enforcement too, since this is a new program. And so we want to really just ensure there's a lot of education out there to make sure that no one is really not complying.
Yeah, I guess one of my concerns is maybe contractors and whatnot that speak different languages like Vietnamese, Spanish, maybe Chinese. I mean, because that 5,000 threshold is pretty small.
That one
right?
is, yeah, right.
I mean, that will include many more projects, including residential projects.
That is correct.
So I just want to ensure that any outreach and education and brochures is done. I don't know if you guys could contact the unions and try to somehow outreach to really make sure that they're not fined and that they're well aware and that it's in multiple languages.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
And in regards to, I don't know what the ADU, maximum or, house size is. I know I saw in here that there was something about a 2,500 between 2,500 to 5,000 square foot small projects. So are ADUs exempt?
I don't think, I'm not sure what's the square foot, but if it's falling within that footprint in that particular one for small projects, they don't necessarily have to do the green infrastructure, that engineered solution I was describing earlier.
Okay.
What they would do is just charge it into some kind of landscape area. Essentially just trying to bring it back to the pre-development state is what we're trying to do, or what is what the water board is really trying to achieve, is that we, just restore the water.
Yeah.
So hopefully if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Do you all have any design guidelines too? I mean, I thought some of it that was really great was that it encourages people to use the sidewalks and whatnot, to really get creative on creating maybe pervious paving solutions, right?
Right.
Or what other materials can we use that are pervious here? So I'm sure there's some university that's already created some sort of guide to, I don't know, what is it? There's the green, or I don't know, there's all these.
LID,
there's all
low
these
impact development, yeah. So
that they probably already have them. So we should have those available for people as alternatives, right? Because we obviously have the opportunity here to encourage people to use different type of materials so that the water is not ran off, right, off the property, but that it goes into the earth, right?
Exactly.
So, and then it looked like when this policy was adopted, coming down from the state now at the local level, it was before all these large storms, right? I mean, due to climate change, obviously, this year, the amount of water that we received was so much. I mean, I read in the staff report that I think we have 13,000 inlets, right, for stormwater runoff?
At 30,000.
Or 32,000 or something like that.
I think it's about 30,000.
Yeah, it was some
large
really
number,
high
yeah.
numbers. So,
Right.
Besides what the state is saying what we should do, I, of course, want to challenge the city and say, I know you could do better. We could do better. Because we are such a large city, what are we doing to preserve life, to prevent flooding, to capture this water so that we could use it. I mean, in regards to education for, these urban farms or whatever, all this creative, wonderful stuff that can be used for capturing that water and yet preventing damage to other people's property and whatnot, and maybe collaborating with like PG&E and Public Works and figuring out where were the problems and really doing some intervention and prevention work to try to do even a better job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, appreciate your comments. Yes, and it is definitely underway as these opportunities. Yeah. So more to come on that. That's it. As you can see in that one slide, it is a collaborative effort with several departments involved with the stormwater permit. So that is definitely top of mind. And then with regards to your earlier comment, we do have some design guidelines. And then we are part of a countywide, as I mentioned, a bunch of counties that are part of the stormwater permit. So ours is the Santa Clara Valley Urban Runoff Pollution Prevention Program. That's the beauty of stormwater world. There's lots of acronyms. So this program also has a lot of design guidelines as well. So
Yeah.
but thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think even just a property owner or even a commercial property owner that has all this vegetation or whatnot going on, and due to the large amount of water that we received, if you say, look, if you go to this city website and we could tell you here's certain things that you could do to mitigate that water on site, and it has nothing to do with this permit, but that they could do so that it ultimately helps out the whole city, right?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Lardenois?
Oh, I don't have any comments. I don't believe my hand is raised.
No worries, it just says current speaker, so I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
And then Commissioner Young, did you have an additional comment, or that was from before? Okay, anyone else? I heard this way first. Yes.
So to ladder up to Commissioner Cantrell's earlier comments about the cost, I was waiting and I was assuming that at some point the cost would be spoken to. And it's disappointing because this is sort of emblematic of the gap between well-intended city or municipal plans and the pragmatic impacts it will have on folks. So the idea that we don't have any information in terms of the cost and the impacts on these types of projects, I don't know how to reconcile that and swallow that and move forward and vote in a way that I'm confident. So is there any way, you're telling me there's a timeline too, and now we're pressed up against a timeline where we have to vote on this, and is there any way we can figure out the cost or even a vague notion of what the cost would be prior to committing to a vote?
I don't know. Do you have some information? I mean, right now, are you referring to more on the developers' costs
The
and
developer,
things
whoever ultimately is going to pay the cost,
Right,
what
this-
that cost is going to be.
See,
and what
that information I do not have as to what this is. It really, we really don't know what the impacts of this, of these changes are going to be, and that's something starting in July 1st, we'll have a better understanding of that. But right now, it's just, this is really what's coming from a federal or state mandate, as to what we have to ensure that we're complying, or else the city will not be in compliance.
Great, thank you.
And on top of that question, been asked, what if the city is not in compliance? What is the...
I will defer to the city attorney on this one, but it is definitely detrimental in violation with the Clean Water Act, so I don't have the cost implications with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look into the exact repercussions of noncompliance and get back to the commission if you're all interested in that. But I want to make sure that we're focused here on what we're doing. We're not approving anything tonight, right? We're making a recommendation to the city council. And the cost that's being discussed here, this is a regional permit that we have to comply with as a city, right? We're a permittee. It's part of the Clean Water Act, right? So basically we're talking about what kind of cost is being, I guess, trickled down to developers who might have to pay something extra as an additional condition to developing the property. I don't know if I'm maybe misunderstanding, but this is not going to be some detrimental cost on the public. I mean, we're talking about clean water, right? So we're already paying a cost by living in the city, right? We're already paying for the luxury of having roadways and buildings and schools and houses. So this is all part of that, right? This is part of that social contract that we're somehow having to, pay for clean water. I don't know if there's going to be an exact cost that you can, pinpoint. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, and I don't know if that's opening up the discussion, but I wanted to just clarify that what we're doing here is recommending to the city council on a permit that is being mandated by the state.
Rajani? Are there, as these permits come forward in the hundreds of cities in California, do you know of any of them that come with, here's the new permit, and these are the variety of new ordinances and regulations that pertain to it, and here's a list of approximate prices that go with these things or costs?
It's only going to be in this new permit where we're going to have that level of detail to really understand the cost associated with that. I mean, prior to it, that wasn't part of the permit requirements. But now it will be moving forward.
So today, on the old permit, if someone comes forward and they trigger the improvements that are necessary for the Water Act, the city doesn't say, hey, we think it's going to be this price. It's more or less, applicant, these are the requirements for the Clean Water Act. You'll need to abide them, and what it costs is what you find it costs in the marketplace versus this will cost you $25,000 for this stormwater runoff treatment.
Right. It'll just vary depending upon what they're building. It's all contingent upon what is being built, so it could vary. It could be just some natural vegetated swale to something that's more elaborate, like a mechanical device. So it just all varies per property.
And then hearing the concern from commissioners about pricing and sort of an unexpected cost that may be for a new applicant, right? And I don't know if any applicant knows exactly what their compliance for the Clean Water Act is going to cost on any given development, but ultimately this will increase in the scope of properties. Is there anything that you could do before you go to the city council to share the concern on what was shared from the commissioners?
We can definitely try to elevate the concerns of the commissioners in here and add that to our council memo if that, just so that they're aware of the concerns.
Is it possible to work with your colleagues in Public Works to say, hey, that project that got done, they did the stormwater treatment for the parking lot.
Yeah.
Did they ever tell you how much it costs so that we just know that, this is an example of what it could cost, so that when it gets to your discussion at council that they have some price point that the commission doesn't have?
Unfortunately, a lot of this is through the private development site, and that's always been kind of private. So, but we have some rough ideas, but I don't know if it would cover the gamut to what some of the commissioners have, for the small projects to the large. We don't have that level of detail because it's brand new.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough. Commissioner Cantrell, are you? Oh, our city attorney.
Wanted to clarify. So basically, a violation of the NPDES permit would be a violation of the Clean Water Act. And so some information that would be basically could be up to $55,000 per day per pollutant if we are to violate the Clean Water Act, which is an administrative or a criminal fine. And that can be enforced by private parties like Save the Bay or Baykeeper, who can also recover attorney's fees. So it's a very serious violation. Just want to make sure folks are aware.
Commissioner Cantrell.
From a practical perspective,
Absolutely.
I think it makes a lot of sense for us to adjust the way that we deal with stormwater on a systematic level. Get it. Great idea. Except I think we have to be careful because not all land works the same way, and a lot of stormwater could wind up running off, causing mudslides and other problems. So it's not as simple as we might think. I'm curious, though. I think we should unpack this a little bit because I'm not sure. I'm feeling a sense of urgency. What happens if this body just doesn't recommend this change? what are the possible negative outcomes to the city?
The new permit has been effective as of last July, and so if we do not approve this, we will not be in compliance with the requirements that is established under the permit. So we're legally obligated, as the city attorney's office have mentioned. So we are in violation.
So the sense of urgency is caused by why today? Why not a month ago, 6 months ago?
Well, because a lot of the details associated with this permit and what's necessary to be changed and so forth, there's lots of other provisions that that we are evaluating as well. So this was one of them that we really needed to, just really need to think through as to what is the appropriate levels of ordinance changes and things like that. So there was a lot to really look into as to how to minimize that impact. So it did take some time to really understand it. And also, while we are making these changes, the Water Board has also been evolving as to their, requirements as to, particularly around the C12 with the PCBs. Those have also been informing. So we couldn't really make a decision until we get more clarity at the direction from the Water Board. So that was also another challenging part of this permit. To your point, you said the cart before the horse. That's essentially what's been happening, particularly around the PCBs world. So I understand. I understand your concerns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Young?
Yeah, I'd just like to provide some perspective. I have a little bit of background on this. I actually was the fire chief prior to 2008, and the fire department I worked for actually enforced these ordinances. These are not new. They've been, these stormwater requirements have been around for a long time. What this does is it makes it apply to smaller projects. And just so we all understand, the requirements come down from the EPA to the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board. The control board had hearings in order to develop these regulations. And I know at that time, I'm sure they had, input from the business community and the development community as far as the, the cost impact. And the questions on the cost impact are very relevant, no question. But I just wanted to give some perspective that the cost issue was considered when it was approved by the San Francisco Regional Water Quality Control Board. And we don't have the option not to approve this, really, because if we don't, we're in violation of federal law. So, I appreciate all the concerns, but just for some perspective on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Our director, Robert?
Yes, I also wanted to say that definitely there are cost implications, and whatever decision that you make here, you can make recommendation to the city council to require a cost study as part of it.
Okay, I'm going to go down. Commissioner Rosario?
Yeah, I think to Michael's point, for the most part, these are things that developers already do, right, and already build into their plans, but now we're just tightening things up, other than the ones that are exempt and will now no longer be exempt. But it's something that they normally do as part and practice of their work, right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Actually, it's our development community that has been leading the charge on this, and so they've, in the beginning, there was some consternation, to your point, but over the time, it ended up being something, quite honestly, a feature that is amenable to a lot of properties, because of the necessity to really protect our environment and to really ensure that we're treating our water. So it has been integrated as a lot, as you see a lot of developments changing, so it is essential.
Yeah, it seems like the developments that I've seen, more recently have the more advanced irrigation systems and whatnot, and it's already kind of incorporated into the new builds, right? Yeah.
Commissioner Lardenois?
No, I don't have my hand up. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Barroso?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I do appreciate the clarity and everyone's expertise on this. two-part question. With one remaining planning commission meeting in April, 2 in May, and 2 in June, I know we're up against the June 30th, must approve, or at least city council must approve. When would be the latest where our recommendation can be given to city council? Like at what meeting? Is this the meeting, or could we ask for more clarity and ask for a part 2?
So I will, if the city attorney could clarify, but from my understanding, for ordinances to be effective, you need 30 days. And so kind of working backwards from June to May, that's kind of critical. So we have to have 2 hearings. So we have May 9th and May 23rd are the 2 hearing dates. So we are kind of close to making sure we have to present now with the Planning Commission the updates associated with the Title 20, and then in a couple of weeks we're going to go to council with the other title changes, not just Title 20 but Title 5 and Title 15.
Okay. Yeah, with those 2 hearing dates, the first May commission meeting, May 10th, is the day after the hearing. So I think that would put us, if it's allowed, I don't know. That's my next question. We do have one more meeting, April 26th. Is our options here, and I defer to our chair and city attorney, is to vote, and either it's a recommendation for yes for city council or for no. Is there a third option of, can we hear this again April 26th?
If it's a will of the commission, we can always defer. Personally, I am not a fan of deferral at all. All these things that come before us have had months of staff work to come before us and present us an option. We know that we are making a recommendation, and we can always, within our recommendation, provide guidance to the council on areas of concern so that then they can examine that further with the staff. So that's my answer.
Perfect, thank you.
So do we have any other comments on this item? I will be supporting a motion once it's made for this item. I think this is just an example of how government works in the United States, right? We have a federal level with a law passed by the Congress and president that over time has its own agency that has further regulations as the science progresses, and those regulations get pushed down to the states and the counties and the cities. I don't think we have line item pricing on every given regulation that comes to us from the federal government. I totally get the concern, right? Because no matter how much outreach, someone's going to apply for a modest project and they're going to get hit with this, this is the cost of stormwater, and it's not going to be anticipated and they didn't know, but that's the, point them back to your congressional representative. Whether you agree or disagree with the regulation. So I'm inclined to support the staff recommendation, knowing where the process goes from here.
Thank you.
So at this point,
I'll make
we have
a
a motion on any given one.
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff recommendation.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further comments on the motion? And feel free to speak your heart, anything. Okay, great. Then I think we'll move. Yes?
Yes.
Commissioner Barocio?
Yes, I appreciate the spirit of the motion, and I agree with Commissioner Young. At the same time, I think the months of work has brought us here with some questions. And I think if given the opportunity to take 2 more weeks or so, I would like to defer. So I will be voting no, knowing that eventually we will have to, in good conscience, recommend this for an affirmative recommendation for City Council. So it's not on the work, and it's not on your presentation. I just think that we could come back in 2 weeks and kind of get some of this clarified. So thank you for the opportunity to say that.
Sure, and that's totally acceptable. So I'll be taking a roll. Oh, Commissioner Cantrell?
Yeah, I'll say this. I certainly respect your views, Commissioner Young. I mean, yeah, I think you do your work, and we can depend on that, and I appreciate it. I'm a bit concerned because I don't think it's necessary. It's necessarily that it comes from a pie. I think different municipalities look at these things differently. Some might be able to absorb some of this cost and make the changes required and necessary. Others might pass it on to their community members. I do feel that that's what's happening here. We're passing the buck. So I won't say what my vote is because, quite frankly, I don't know yet. But you know, I'm concerned. But that's it. Thanks.
Oh, thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Any other comments? So I'm going to have a roll call vote. It's a yes or no. So, Commissioner, does he have any comments or?
I don't know if he has anybody.
Yeah, I have a comment.
A comment, and is there anyone in the room with you?
There is not anyone in the room with me. Excuse me. So, yeah, I just I want to echo the chair's comments that what this comes down to is our required local implementation of a federal regulation change. And, you know, I understand that we're still, about 2.5, 3 months from the deadline to be in compliance, but there's also other things that go into this. I mean, you know, it's not like city council's votes on these things are generally sometime after hours, and there may be additional staff work involved both between when we have our say and when it goes to city council, and then afterwards before the actual implementation deadline. You know, and I totally agree with all the concerns about cost and how that impacts you know, whoever's going to end up paying for it. But I see that as not something that is part of whether we choose to be in compliance or not. I think I'd be open to, I'm going to vote yes on the motion on the table. I'd be open to, if anyone wants to propose something, you know, adding to the recommendation, I don't know, something for the city to, you know, I don't know, investigate how, you know, it as an entity can better inform, you know, permit requesters what costs may be associated with that. But regardless, I think we should move ahead with accepting the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Commissioner Ornelas Wise.
You know, just based on my professional experience, you know, every project is so different from each other. Everything is parcel specific. You know, there's going to be differences between commercial versus residential, and then the differential within, you know, what was that property used for, such as a gas station, you know, has more toxins, right? If there's any demolition work, you know, how large was the structure? If you know, you could have a big parcel but a small structure. So even if we try to do like some sort of transparency, I mean, I think it's important to recommend to city staff that they just alert the public that there's some additional fees associated with, you know, whatever this is going to require. However, even if we do a study of what it's going to cost, it's going to vary on the project and the scope of the project. So I think with just going forward, just with some transparency, that there will be some fees associated. You know, the site plan is typically a civil engineer is going to do it. A civil engineer is going to be the one that's going to probably design the bioswale or whatever they're going to use for detention and retaining this water runoff, right? So I think that a lot of that cost is some of that already embedded in their development. There might just be additional fees, but yeah, and you know, to me, what's really important is making sure that it's in different languages too. So I would recommend this with, to contractors and developers in multiple languages. That's very important to me. Okay, thanks.
Point taken. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, just thinking out loud here, federal fair housing laws are passed by the federal government and are implemented locally, and that's what it is. I mean, that's the federal law or the regulation that you must comply. So I think this is just a great example if a social studies class was watching about how federal system and local system works. So thank you. And Commissioner Barocio, schools will be on the hook too to pay for their improvements if they do that. So you're not out of that. All right, I'm going to do a yes/no vote roll call. Commissioner Lardenois.
No one present in the room, and I vote yes.
Okay, Commissioner Barocio.
No.
Commissioner Cantrell.
Yes.
Commissioner Casey.
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
Commissioner Ornelas Wise.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Yes.
Commissioner Tordillos.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Display the vote. And we're on to report from the City Council, and I noticed our planning director was in the audience. Did the planning director want to say anything, or no? He's passing to Robert.
Yes, on 21st March, the annual progress report on the general plan housing element and housing successor to the redevelopment agency annual report was approved by City Council. On March 28, the REACH Code Ordinance update was also approved. No, it was deferred, sorry, to May 2nd. Burbank number 47, which came from this commission, was approved. The historic landmark designation and the Mills Act for property located at 619 First Street was also approved. It came from this commission. Burbank number 44, annexation, was also approved. And there was also the historic preservation permit and real property, special use permit for real property located at 19 North 2nd Street that came from this commission was also approved. And then conventional rezoning and a special use permit for real property located at 2740 Ruby Avenue, which is the Buddhist temple, was also approved unanimously. And yesterday, all the general plan amendments were approved, including the granite rock, which came from this commission.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you for that. And I don't see anything on the public record. No changes to the calendar. I do have one request of our attorney. There is legislation that has been proposed to allow commissioners to attend meetings remotely. If next session you could let us know what the status of that is.
Happy to report on it, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we adjourn our meeting and welcome our new commissioner.
Adjourned at 7:32.